What's up, world? We are back with the 10 days of Dahmer, and y'all, so this 10 days been dragging. Like, it's supposed to have been over. But some things came up, and I just appreciate y'all for being, let's see, I just appreciate you guys for being patient with me, okay? Because I feel just how I'm looking today. Crazy. Like, it's been crazy. Anyways, we're back with episode 6. I'm going to cover episode 6 through 8 today. So this video might be more lengthier than the others, but I really want to talk about these 3 episodes together. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so at the beginning of episode 6, we go into a pretty detailed vision of Tony's life and his family and how very close-knit they were. I do want to send my prayers out to Tony's family, his friends, anybody that knew him, because he just seems so... This documentary really did a good job of, like, because I checked other reports, really explaining Tony and breaking him down. So my prayers, my deepest prayers go out to Tony's family and friends. Like I said, anybody that knew him. Anyway, so we go into a vivid vision of Tony's life and how close his family was. We also learned that Tony has been deaf since he was only a few months old because of basically the side effects of a prescription medicine that his mother was prescribed when she was pregnant with him. Okay, so after a lot of details about Tony comes to surface, we learn that, he has a tight-knit group of friends, and they trust him, and they go out, and they party, and they do what normal people do. The thing that I respected the most about Tony, the absolute most, is that he did not let his condition, being deaf, get in the way of him living his life at all. He went to clubs, normal clubs. He took classes, normal classes. He had dreams, normal dreams. Tony was a normal person. Tony is literally no other way to describe it. So shout out to his mother, shout out to his support system, his sister, his little niece, I think that was named after him. It takes a village to raise a child, and they did that. That's all I can say about that. So anyways, they're hanging out, and one of Tony's close friends, who's also deaf, passes away tragically. After that happens, Tony is like, he's like woken up, he realizes that, life is too short to just live in this bubble, from where he was. He just felt like he was in a bubble, so he moved to Marietta, and his mom, nobody wants to see their son, like, especially, someone with a disability such as being deaf. I would be just like her. Like, she didn't want Tony to go at all. And the actress that played his mother was amazing. She was so amazing at portraying, like, her will to not want her son to leave. But so anyways, talking about the movie, she didn't want Tony to leave, and Tony just had to let her know, like, yes, I am deaf, but I'm grown. Like, I got this. You know what I'm saying? So he packed up, and Tony left to chase his dreams. Okay, so then we go into Tony, and he's trying to, he's going to all these different places, applying for jobs. Now, some jobs turn him down right in his face, but the thing that admired me the most, and listen, when I tell y'all that this episode really, I want to say broke me, but I don't want to use broke me, like, because that just seems like it, like, kind of depressed me or something, but this episode really woke me up. This man who had this disability was getting turned down, like, to his face a few times, and walked out with a smile every single time. Like, okay, that didn't work, but we're gonna keep going, like, he was just so determined, and I love and respected that so much about Tony. And I know it's just a movie, but according to my researches, and I doubt that I'm wrong, he was really like that in real life. So okay, so I'm cooking. I just didn't want to start recording because I want to talk about this. Okay, so one weekend Tony comes home and from Marietta, back to Milwaukee, and he goes out with his friends, and that is the night that he meets Jeffrey Dahmer. So Dahmer and Tony hit it off. They have an amazing night although Tony is dead. Now, I hope that no offense is taken to what I am about to say, by especially Tony's family, his real family, Tony himself. But Tony, I will say that I strongly feel like Jeffrey Dahmer loved Tony. I feel like he fell in love with Tony. Tony showed him something new, because Tony was different. But the thing that signified the most 1000% that Jeffrey really loved Tony is the fact that he didn't murder him the moment he tried to leave like he did everyone else. So, he has a visit from his dad, and y'all know they passed. Jeffrey actually says he's actually happy. He literally says it. So Dahmer and Tony hit it off. They have an amazing night, although Tony is dead. Now, I hope that no offense is taken to what I am about to say, by especially Tony's family, his real family, Tony himself. But Tony, I will say that I strongly feel like Jeffrey Dahmer loved Tony. I feel like he fell in love with Tony. Tony showed him something new, because Tony was different. But the thing that signified the most 1000% that Jeffrey really loved Tony is the fact that he didn't murder him the moment he tried to leave like he did everyone else. So, he has a visit from his dad, and y'all know they passed. Jeffrey actually says he's actually happy. He literally says it. I think the fact that Tony was not murdered immediately, by a psychotic serial killer that he came in contact with says a lot about his spirit. I think it speaks volumes. Like, if you are able to capture the emotionless, and the psychotic mind, the emotionless heart and psychotic mind of a serial killer, you're like one of the best people to ever exist. Seriously, Tony was amazing. To be able to... Dahmer had a routine, He would drug everybody he came in contact with. Tony was able to allow Jeffrey to see another side of him, like another side of life. So many times Dahmer was like, okay, I'm about to just drug him, do what I normally do, but I can't do this to him. Like, you could tell in the episode he wanted to so many times, but he decided against it. He loved Tony. I'm sorry. Okay, so back to the original storyline. Dahmer and Tony, go home together. Tony sleeps at Dahmer's house, and like I said, they woke up together. They had an amazing night. Tony wakes up and he's like in a rush putting his clothes on. He literally says he has to go. Mind you, Tony started a whole new life in Marietta. He was working, he was going to school, pursuing his dreams. So Tony has to leave, and Jeffrey immediately goes into psycho Dahmer mode. He is ready to get a hammer and kill Tony because Tony has to leave. But then Tony tells him, I'll be back, and I'm going to come straight back to you. Jeffrey put the hammer down. He didn't kill Tony. He let him walk out the door. So Tony goes to college, and, he comes back the following weekend because, one, his mother and his family wanted to see him because they wanted to let him know that his sister, who was pregnant, was naming their baby after him, Tony, but with the Y, of course. Tony was overly excited. It just warmed my heart to see him so happy, But anyways, he goes and see Jeff immediately after, and you can tell that Jeff did not expect Tony to come back. He wasn't expecting a visit from Tony. Jeff had abandonment issues, obviously. From previous, we could tell that he had abandonment issues. But they had their fun, and when Tony was about to leave this time, unfortunately, Jeff Dahmer could not control himself any longer, and he ended Tony's life tragically this time, and his family, they will forever remember Tony. Of course, that is his family, the community, the whole entire world. Tony left impacts on everybody, especially me. Like I said when I first started this video, shout out to his mother. You did an amazing job. Shout out to everybody who even knew Tony. Just being in his presence was obviously a blessing. So if you will do me a favor, leave 2 fingers and a thumb for Tony in the comments below. Please don't pay no attention to my nails. They are damaged. My job really screwed me. Anyways, 2 fingers and a thumb for Tony, and that wraps up episode 6. So let's get into episode 7.